certainly one of the things with Bath I think people do experience is the different layers of history. So when you're walking around, you'll see old shop signs still painted on the walls, and you'll see different metal fragments embedded as brackets, or different fittings that are along railings, or stone carvings that are remnants of old walls, and the variety of different styles that are subtly but fragmented throughout the city. And there are certainly things that you won't necessarily experience your first visit, and living here you suddenly they reveal themselves over time. And having that in mind, that you are putting something into a landscape, you're mindful of the conflict of contemporary art as well. Contemporary art can be pretty challenging, and it's not a case of shying away from that, but it's being sort of sensitive to the fact that that does happen. So a lot of the pieces that we've introduced here are to be revealed over time. They're small elements, and the theme elements came out of the response to the chemical industry on the site. We have the response to the Stotherton pit, which was obviously one of the major employers in Bath. It was a global company. It employed a huge amount of people, but even before that there was a huge number of industries here, and those we want to acknowledge and address and reference in the works that we introduce here. So the brief was very specifically to be sensitive to those things, to recognise those things, and to help tell the story of this site for the people that are going to live here.
It's good to hear that history will continue to reveal itself in subtle ways, but there is a body of opinion in Bath that the industrial heritage now is solely represented by that last gasometer behind this building. We know it's coming down next year. A lot of people will be sorry to see that go. I don't know what your feelings are as an artist in seeing such a monumental industrial relic disappear.
I think it is monumental. We've lived with it for a long time, and I understand the sentiment attached to these things. It's ironic that the Victorians thought it was an eyesore, and they actually clad it with wood to stop people, being offended by this big metal industrial monstrosity. So I think the sensitivities that Crest have had they have explored the possibilities of using it, but I think it is now time to say goodbye to the old dear, and be practical about the usage of space. I think that's the sensibility of it. We'll have a carving, actually. We're hoping to commission a carving on one of the walls that will certainly refer to it as a structure.
It's fair to say also, I think, that Bath hasn't got much of a reputation for public sculpture. So in a way, Crest really are laying something down for the future, because there's an awful lot of public sculpture going into this site as well.
Yeah, and I think that is one of the sensitivities with being a World Heritage City, is that people have been guarded over what you can and can't introduce. And also there's just the cost of doing that into spaces that have yet to be updated. So Crest are really mindful of the fact that they are, introducing something new. And part of the landscape is contemporary art. Modern art is part of that now, and it just adds value. It increases the experience. It adds delight, and it can provoke and challenge. And it's trying to do that in a way that isn't upsetting. I think for me, one of the guiding things for me is, would I want to live with that myself? And there's certainly the right place to have challenging, provocative art in temporary spaces, in galleries and museums that are wanting to raise those questions. I think to have work that is of quality in a landscape that you're going to live with every day, you have to be, what you introduce has to be considered a little bit more than that, I think. So I understand why Bath hasn't done it to date, and I think there is definitely a mood now to do that more.
Talking about landscape, a river runs through it here. A river that Bath is also waking up to again, in a way. You here with Crest are sharing that landscape. How is the river being incorporated into the development here?
Oh, it's a significant part of it. I mean, it was in working with the council and Bath Preservation Trust and the rivers, and it's been an absolute key factor to it. Opening that up, I think there's a beautiful connection with the fact that the Sulis waters, are part of the lifeblood of Bath, and they have been tucked away. And the cut here on Bath Riverside that lets you go straight down to the water, although it's a flood defence mechanism, it's a lovely part of the landscape. And the next part of the phase of development will also have the parkland along the river. Well, the final result is, hopefully a varied use site with lots of interesting things on it. I mean, how it'll evolve from the master plan, because the master plan was established quite a while ago, but there's all the details of how that gets implemented and how that gets used, over the coming years. That's got evolution to happen yet, and discussions, and the details of that will unfold. But there will certainly be art across the whole site, and there are certain schemes that we've in place, such as working with plasticine to do the bronze inserts, and the schools, working with different groups to be able to create pieces that we cast in bronze and embed into the landscape in various ways. Everybody that is involved with the arts programme responds to the theme elements, and that is a variety of ways, but one of the key ones is the history. And the stone carving, you can't be in Bath without acknowledging that the stone carving heritage and Bath stone. So in conjunction with Bath Stone Group and the City College carving, we've run open carving competitions, and the winners of those then get commissioned to do larger pieces. So that'll be ongoing, and the people can have a go at carving. They can go and get a piece of stone from that, have a go and submit it for possible inclusion. So there are two ways there. The members of the Bath public can participate, so that you don't have to be an artist even to do that. But certainly, having been an artist in Bath, I am keen to acknowledge the presence of certain key protagonists of the art scene and give them the opportunities where possible to be represented. So people like Patrick Haynes, who's done the Herschel chairs, he's a highly talented artist, produced these beautiful chairs that recognise the history of the Herschels, these significant scientists, and for me that really sums up a good connection with the heritage, local artists, the talent, and the elements being the scientific connection with that. So hopefully there'll be a rich, varied, contemporary environment that will take Bath into all sorts of new developments.